love America so much. I only eat fast food. I only shop at Walmart. Fuck yeah! All American beef! All American Walmart products! Yeah! I have an all American plastic gun rack in the back of my all American Chevy pickup truck. Got an eagle crying tears with American flags in them. It's so badass it makes me want to punch an immigrant right in his kid's face. Did you know that the top 1% of America's population owns almost 40% of the nation's wealth? The top 5% owns almost 60% of the nation's wealth? The top 10% of America owns 71% of the nation's wealth. This of course means that the bottom 90% of Americans share the remaining 29%. Did you know that the bottom 40% share amongst them only 1% of the nation's wealth? Or that the bottom 50% of Americans actually have a negative income, having to borrow more than they make in a year? You're middle class, right? Probably not. The average middle-income American makes about $56,000 a year, spends $46,000 of it, and puts $10,000 into savings. Does that sound like you? Are you affected by the estate tax? The so-called death tax? If you manage over the course of your lifetime to save up $1 million by the time you die, you won't be affected. You aren't affected. The first $3.5 million are not touched by the estate tax. Do you have $3.5 million? Have you ever held even $1 million in your hands all at once? Most people in the top 1% aren't millionaires. They are billionaires. Have you ever held $1 billion in your hands all at once? That's $1 million 1,000 times over. Do you even understand how much money that is? $1 billion. I find it hard to wrap my head around it, so I ran some numbers to provide a real-life example. Imagine this, that average middle-income American spending $46,000 a year. If they maintained their current lifestyle, they could live for 100,000 years and not spend $1 billion. Actually, that middle-income American, if they lived for 100,000 years, would only spend 4.6% of $1 billion. Are you a billionaire? If so, what are you doing with that much money? What on earth could you possibly need it for? Wasn't it Jesus who said that it would be easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter heaven? If you are a billionaire and you are affected by the estate tax, what kind of things are the government going to spend it on anyway? Helping the sick? Building infrastructure? Funding education? Helping the poor? Feeding the hungry? Are those bad things? Now, if you're conservative and you're against the estate tax, you're most likely religious. What would Jesus do with $1 billion? Well, I'm waiting. I sell t-shirts, do-do-do-do-do-do-do. 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 I make t-shirts, do-do-do-do-do-do-do. I sell t-shirts, do-do-do-do-do-do-do.